All right, good afternoon, everybody. So I don't have a ton of slides in this one because I was waiting to see any confirmed actual lines and confirmed actual starters. We do know that Brandon Bussey is starting for the Canes. The When it comes to the Sabres, I've seen mixed reports. I've seen Colton Ellis and I've seen Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen both, depending on who you ask, like Money Puck and other places like that. So I don't know who is starting. So there's not even goalie slides in here. In the event we get a live update about that, I'll talk about it some. But we do have some other exciting stuff to announce here. So first thing first, we have finally launched a spring account. We have a store now. There's not much on there yet. I may go to another store for the t-shirts because honestly, I'm not really impressed with what Teespring has for shirts. However, they have one really, really cool trucker hat that I really, really, really liked, and it has actual raised embroidery on it. So I designed two hats over there. One is the Tomcats hockey navy blue hat. It's also available in red. I didn't do that on purpose. I don't know why it's set up like that. It looks much better in the navy blue. If you ask me, I would recommend ordering the navy blue because that's what that logo right there was made to do. Again, big shout out to BG Edits. All this stuff is possible thanks to him. But you have the Tomcats logo on the navy blue version, and then over here with the what I call the Do It Right hat, black and white, very simple. Same trucker hat, black with the regular TW logo in the middle. So both of those are available. Additionally, there are 3 stickers that are available. There are the 2 hats, and there's the main logo, the Prospects Forecast sticker, and the Jankowski Played Well Rage bumper decal that are all available over there. Now, as far as the prices go, I just want to let you guys know I set the prices about as low as I could because the recommended prices were about $10 higher for the hats. I knocked both of them down. I'm only turning a $4 profit on the TW hats, and I'm only turning a $3 profit on the Tomcats hats. So the link to the store is in the description. When you guys go and buy them, please let me know how the quality of them is. I couldn't swing ordering a sample, and I wanted to go ahead and start getting merch out there because a lot of people have been asking about it. So I took a little bit of a leap here to see if it would work pretty well, and I at least wanted to be able to get hats there at a minimum and then start getting some other stuff in the future. I'm personally really looking forward to ordering one of each of those hats for myself, especially the Tomcats one, because I'm going to bring my beer league team back here hopefully in a couple of years, or not even a couple of years, hopefully a few months. I'll be bringing it back. I'm actually going to wear the Tomcat sweaters at pickup on Tuesday morning because I'm gotten to where I've lost enough weight to where I can fit in them again. Additionally, the die cut stickers here, you can throw those on your car. You've got plenty of good options right here to start out, but there will probably be an additional store with shirts. Like I said, I just wasn't really impressed with what I saw of the shirts at out of Teespring, so I think I'll go somewhere else for shirts. There may be a hoodie there by the end of the day. This is why I didn't do the trade board yesterday. I was working with this stuff. I wanted to make sure that it looked as good as I could make it. So starter merch, there will be more, but the link is in the description. You can go to the store and buy them there. And like I said, I'm not turning a huge profit on these. I just wanted to be able to start getting merch out there and start making some money so I can put that back into the channel and everything like that. That's money that will go towards the website. And yes, I will be using some of that money to eventually buy a new and upgraded computer. Part of that is for me. I'm not going to pretend it's not, but the predominant amount of time that I'm on this computer is working on this channel other than schoolwork, obviously, but the predominant amount of time I'm in front of this desk right here is trying to make this channel better. And you guys have been instrumental in, motivating me to be able to do that. So I thank you very much. But please, if you're inclined to do so, pick you up some merch. There will be more on there in the coming days. I'm thinking of a tank top will probably be next. I've been playing around with designs of that. I've showed some of you what I have on there. I'm going to keep messing with that. A bunch of different things that are going to be on there before too much long. Like I said, I may be going to a separate store for the shirts, and we'll go from there. But yeah, links in the description. If you buy one, please give me feedback about the quality of it once you get it and all that type of stuff. I really appreciate everybody for, making this a worthwhile thing to try to see if, there will be enough, of a customer base to want to buy these things. So, but yeah, links in the description. It would really help out. And thank you guys for everything. So on to today's game. As I showed in the Black Ops 2 meme earlier, the Buffalo Sabres will always be our one true enemy. It is not the Caps. It's not the Panthers. It is these guys. And they're starting to become relevant again. If you want to see me foam at the mouth, have a 2026 playoff series between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Buffalo Sabres, and you will see amount of savagery that is it's Afghanistan cave amounts of savagery. I hate the Buffalo Sabres. I always have, since 2006, that is, and I always will. I hope that the Hurricanes do not waste the Aho Burger Day and that they absolutely destroy them. On to more important matters. 30-15-4. Carolina improved with their last win. Buffalo Sabres are 26-16-8. Don't let that record fool you. They're a good team. Everything that they've been trying to get done for a long time, it looks like that they're finally getting it done. Kevin Adams getting relieved. Huge Caniac, obviously. And member of the Stanley Cup team. Him getting relieved seems to have finally sparked that room, and they're starting to put together the team that they've been trying to put together for years now. At home, the Hurricanes are 17-8-1. The Sabres are 10-10-2 on the road. In the last 10 games, the Hurricanes are 6-3-1. And in the last 10 games, the Sabres are 7-2-1. So on paper, these teams look pretty even. And in a lot of ways, they are. I'm expecting a much more even matchup than what we had in the last appearance. So this is the last game of the season series. Carolina won the first one at home on the 8th of November, 6-3. 23 November was one of Carolina's worst games of the season. I don't know why that says 3 there. I swear to God, I typed 1. Carolina actually lost that game 4-1. That was around the time that the flu or whatever it was going through the room. That's not a factor today. No excuses. So hopefully we'll have a much better game than we had last time. And of course, season series wraps up today. Big picture here. Hurricanes improved their goal differential a little bit from +24. They are now +27 with 171 for and 144 against. The Sabres have 157 for and 148 against. Their goal differential has shot up in the last few months. I'm going to show, or last few weeks, I should say, and I have a graphic on the next slide to talk about that a little bit, how much that the Sabres have turned it around. In a way, they weren't all too dissimilar from the Hurricanes of having struggles that finally seem to level out a little bit as the season has gone along. Goals for per game, relatively close at 3.41 to 3.28. I would prefer this not become a high-scoring affair today. 2.90 to 3.15 for goals against per game. Again, lower scoring game will probably favor the Hurricanes. Power play percentage, 21.5 to 19.6. Do not let the fact the Sabres have a 19.6 power play right now fool you. That is a good power play. I'm going to get into that here in a moment. Penalty kill, 79.4 to 83.1. A little bit of an uptick from the last time. It was 79.3 before. It's going to take a while before it gets to where it needs to be. But having Slavin back, the sooner you get that back up to around 85, the better. The power play is definitely going in the right direction, so all those things are good. Face-off percentage, 50.4 to 44.9. But Buffalo is one of those teams that even though they do drive possession a whole lot with it, they're very dangerous when they do have the puck, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. All right, so I want to point out some stuff here. These are from StatMuse. The reason why I wanted to pull these particular things up here, looking at Buffalo here. So penalty kill, relatively steady throughout. I think special teams are actually going to be a pretty big factor today. I think 5-on-5, these teams minus shot volume are actually pretty close in terms of how they play and everything like that. So penalty kill percentage, 82.1 in October, 77.1 in November, 78.8 in December, and 79.4 in January. So not a whole lot of differences there in terms of how the Sabres were going about that side of the special teams thing. Where they did have a problem was in the power play. They started out at 9.7%. And they've got it up to 16.7, 24.4, and 35.5. Actually, these might be backwards. Damn, these are backwards. Stand by 1 second. I will be right back. I'm going to fix that because I can't talk about what I want to talk about without... Okay, I got that fixed. My apologies. Okay, so let me go back here because I was like, those numbers don't look right. I accidentally had the logos backwards because the Sabres was the first team I wanted to talk about. Anyway, so going back to October, they had a rough start. They only had 11 points in 11 games. They were 4-4-3. They had a -2 goal differential. They had a 21.6% power play and 89.5% penalty kill. And that was the only thing that was really keeping them above water. The way the Sabres are built, that's a good team on paper. November did not go much better. In 14 games, they won 6, had 8 losses, one of them being an overtime loss, and only 13 points. So, again, power play percentage 11.4, penalty kill percentage 87.5. So that was holding relatively steady. Team save percentage kind of hovering around the same spot and everything like that. But the biggest point that I want to make here, Buffalo had a negative goal differential, a not so great special teams percentage, and they were having a hard time 5-on-5. That's not really the case anymore. Whereas now they've got positive goal differentials over the course of the last 2 months. They have a power play percentage that is steadily above 20 at 22.2 for last month, 23.1 for this one. Penalty kills taking a little bit of a dip, but with Buffalo, they can get enough net positives out of 5-on-5 scoring and power play scoring to where they don't need the penalty kill to be as good as Carolina's, but if they do have it, it helps them. So other things to point out with that. Their power play percentage is 49% lower in losses, is 4.9% lower in losses, 15.2% lower in losses on the road, and they have a -14 goal differential on the road. So 10-2 or 10-10-2 is about right for them as far as coming into someone else's barn and them having a slightly below 50% chance to win. So that's one of the things that you got to look out for tonight. We'll get into that today, I should say. We'll get into that a little bit more here in a minute. Now, you go and you look at the Hurricanes, not all too dissimilar in a lot of ways. However, the record's a little bit better. But October, 7-3. November, 9-4 in 15 games played. So as bad as the Hurricanes struggled at times, they actually had long streaks of where they won pretty well and everything like that. And they've only had 1 month with a negative goal differential, which was December, and that also included all the leads that they blew. So the thing with the Hurricanes is they're a team that has to play with the lead normally. They haven't shown that lately, but normally on paper, that's how they're built. You go into, let's see, let me go back here. All right. But yeah, so basically what I'm saying is the Sabres are finally becoming the team that they've been trying to build for years now, and they finally found their footing and everything like that. You have a lot of weapons up front. It's a relatively deep team. It's young. It's fast. It's going to be hard to beat. It's not going to be all too dissimilar from the Detroit game, except they're younger and faster and just score a little bit less. The biggest advantage you have is you're at home. You can dictate the matchups, and that's going to be the most important thing for Carolina today. If they can manage to win the matchup game, they'll be fine today. But this is going to be a tough game to win. Make no mistake, this one's going to be hard. All righty. So next thing here. I have not seen the lines yet. That's part of the reason I started the show a couple of minutes late. I was hoping to see them before. I was hoping to see if there was any sort of confirmation, any sort of projected lineup, anything like that. And I haven't seen it yet. The one thing we do know is William Carrier will be coming back in the lineup. So I guess that means that that one particular Finnish center will be coming out of the lineup. As expected, Gostisbehere not playing. Brandon Bussey will be starting in net. Per not Walt Ruff, but Lindy Ruff, according to this reporter right here. Costa Helenius, who is one of Buffalo's better prospects from what I've been told, will play on Monday, make his NHL debut in Carolina. Helenius skated on a line with Noah Ostlund and Josh Stone today in practice. So you might not know a lot of these names yet, but when it comes to Buffalo, you're going to, because they've got a really good young core. They just couldn't put it together for a while, and now they finally are. They're going to be a tough out for years to come. Let's see here. All right. So again, speed. This is a very fast team that you're playing against. Very fast team. Loves to score off the rush. Loves to generate those quick chances. They're not really good at getting the puck back once they, put it on net. But the first chance is a very dangerous chance once they enter the zone. The other thing is, though, Buffalo doesn't shoot the puck a ton. That's something that could really favor Carolina, especially having Bussey in net, considering he tends to win games where he has to make a bunch of high danger saves, and that's what he has to do playing behind the Hurricanes defense. So looking at the speed there, Buffalo does have a pretty big advantage across the board, minus 22 plus mile per hour bursts. those 22 plus mile per hour bursts might come in handy in trying to shut down the Sabres transition game, because they are really, really good at that. Buffalo's a team I hate watch very frequently. So I know over the years I've been saying, what is wrong with this team? Why are they not better than what they are? This team should be amazing, and they never were. Now they finally started figuring that out. They still have a negative shot attempts differential. They are 1.7 below league average with only 40.6% offensive zone time, which is actually on the lower end throughout the league. Carolina is at the top of the league with 45.5%. They're literally number one. So this is one of those times where they've kind of got that definitive advantage there that they always have, where they hold the offensive zone, they establish the offensive zone, they stay there for a long time, they generate a ton of shots. Maybe they're not the best quality shots, but this is one of those times where shot volume, you just got to get – they don't ask how, they ask how many. This is going to be a night with how many is being more important. Neutral zone 18.3 to Buffalo with 17.6 in the neutral zone. The reason Buffalo's number is a little bit lower in the neutral zone, it's not so much the fact of the lack of time they spend in the offensive zone, it's how quickly they can transition through the neutral zone, and they can do it very quickly. It was the same thing with the Montreal game, and I was at that game, the one on January 1st. Montreal is not the greatest team defensively, but they still have guys back there like Matheson and Jack High who will bruise you. With Buffalo, that's not as much of a problem, but they still can transition the zone very, very quick. They're very puck hungry. They're very offensively minded. And once they get on their horse, they're very hard to stop. So 36.2% for the defensive zone time. That's going to be important for Carolina tonight. I was talking about this against the Devils, and it applies even more today. Deny entry, deny entry, deny entry. That 40.6% of time that they spend in the offensive zone becomes a lot less important, or a lot less consequential if you just stop them from getting in there in the first place. That's the biggest thing you can do. If they do get in, keep them on the perimeter. And we're going to talk about that here in a moment as well. Shot on goal differential, again, Carolina's, hovering steady around 0.3% above league average. Buffalo is sitting right there at the league average mark when it comes to shots on goal. So just to summarize the point I'm making here, Buffalo does not spend a whole lot of time in the offensive zone. They typically generate their best chance initially off the rush. Establishing the zone is not their thing. Generating rush chances and scoring off of them is. This is where you can have a moment where unstoppable force meets a movable object at the defensive blue line for Carolina, and they win this game. But that's what they have to do more than anything. That's going to be where it's won and lost today, if you ask me. I'm not expecting a goaltender's duel today. I'm expecting a high-octane, quick offense being shut down by a stalwart, very well-executed defense if Carolina's going to win this game today. Now, if it does become a goaltender's duel, the good news is Bussy's in net. You got a better chance to win one. So we'll see how that goes. All right, now going into talking about shot volume here, it couldn't be much more opposite. And we've seen this trend lately. It was the same thing with the New Jersey game. It was the same thing with the Detroit game almost. Carolina, when it comes to shooting pucks from the point, on the perimeter, outside the dots, and generating second chances in the slot and on the doorstep right there, the crease, they're generating those chances. They're generating them at a higher rate. They're getting those shots at a higher rate, and they're producing more of them in every area of the ice as a whole. Now, when you start looking at how much Buffalo does their work below the goal line and right there above the goal line and right outside of the crease on the left and the right side of the net, that's where you start to have a little bit of a difference. Even then, it's not a really drastic difference between those, because you'll notice 30, 73, not too different from 24 and 71 when you're talking about right there on the traditional glove side where they're shooting pucks from. So, again, try to keep them on the perimeter if you can't keep them out of the zone initially. And keeping them out of the zone is going to be hard. You might have to wear them down, and maybe you can do it more over the course of the game. And speaking of that, now when we look at – oh, wait, wrong one. Where'd it go? I think I uploaded the wrong one. I mean, a lot of this is the right stuff, but I have so many of these slides that... Here, give me 1 second. Let me fix one other thing. Sorry, guys. All right, there we go. I got that fixed. Sorry about that, boys. All right. So anyway, so then now you're looking at goal locations. These teams don't have a very big difference in the amount that they're scoring. 167 to 154 is not a lot. Buffalo, again, high danger chances, but they're not getting that many of them. But when they do, they tend to have a higher percentage of scoring than a lot of other teams do. Mid range, long range, Carolina's got a pretty good advantage there, especially in long range shots. 15 to 8, that's almost double the advantage there. Mid range, that's a decent advantage there as well. And again, you'll notice how this blue on the map here basically it essentially mirrors each other in a complete opposite manner. So I would say that this is going to be a night where Carolina, if they cannot turn UPL or Ellis, whoever is starting, into a Vezina candidate, they'll win this game. But if you can generate better quality chances, great. That shouldn't be too hard to do against Buffalo. The Buffalo is a good team defensively, but they're not as good as Carolina is. Buffalo's biggest threat that they pose to you is when they get the puck back. It might be a struggle for them to defend in their own zone, but you generate a chance, there's a rebound there, and Buffalo is one of those teams that's really fast. They can hop on that loose puck, be out of their zone, transition through the neutral zone, and generating a clean entry with a good solid chance at the other end faster than I can describe it. Everything that I just said can happen in 3 to 5 seconds. So shutting down rush chances are the big thing. Deny entry here is the big thing. Bussy is going to have to make some high danger saves today, but he's shown he can do that. So they'll be in good shape if they stick to those particular aspects of their game. This is definitely going to be an identity game for Carolina if they're going to come out and win it, but they can get it done. But so to summarize, I'm expecting for Carolina to win. I'm expecting low scoring game, lots of zone entry denials, keeping them on the perimeter, shutting down the transition game as quickly as you can. Katie, good point. I'll bring that up actually. So Buffalo also played last night. So great opportunity, as you saw with Carolina and St. Louis playing on back-to-backs. That's killer. That's one of the reasons I wanted the season to be shortened, not made longer, but that's a different discussion. I love hockey, but I also would rather see 70 quality games a season as opposed to 65 quality games with an extra 19 that are not that great sprinkled in there, but that's a discussion for another day. And that's also a discussion that I'll probably be talking about for an hour and a half plus, just giving my spiel on why I thought the season should have been shortened and not made longer. Anyway, so you can take advantage of the fact that Buffalo played last night, get a good early lead, and then you can transition into that shutdown game where you just kind of lock down your own zone, lock down your own blue line, and let things play out from there. That's not to say to not be aggressive, not be to attack, but it's a lot easier to play with the lead, especially when you're a team like the Hurricanes. A lot of other teams, they go down by 1, they're like, whatever, it's no big deal. You have the players to overcome that, or they go down by 2, or they go down by 3. That's not the way that Carolina is built. So best thing that they can do here, get an early lead, be aggressive on the forecheck, tire their defense out, shut down the transition game, because like I said, once Buffalo gets the puck back, they're a hard team to stop. They will generate their first rush chance. They don't establish the zone very well, and that's where Carolina's got to have their strengths, is just shutting down those rush chances initially, and then they're not a problem. So I will now get to the comments here. Burgers today, yes. The Aho episode that dropped for my world was a nice watch. Yeah, I really enjoyed watching that. I'm not big into like I've said before, I'm not big into those behind the scenes things, but as you guys know, I'm a really big fan of Sebastian Aho. And I was just sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, I love Jordo, but I'm really ready for the Aho captaincy era. Like when he's walking out of the tunnel, he's like, let's go, man, let's go, let's go. And I was like, that's the type of shit I like seeing. I'm not saying Jordo doesn't do stuff like that, but it just hits different when Aho does it. It really does. Timmy, what's up, buddy? Let's go, Canes. Damn, Lackey at least hit the like. What's up, Panthers, J-Dub? Some idiot said burgers 3 times. Will Park said no burgers to China. That's unacceptable. Oh, that reminds me. I need to look at the YouTube poll again to see what the results were. I want to see what the results were. Okay, so 54% said yes, 15% said C, and I'm pretty sure that's Katie Bartlett who clicked on the one that said C. No one clicked on oui, which is yes in French, and 31% of you clicked on China. All right. Cool. But yeah, burgers to China is not happening, Will. We don't do that here. This is America. Damon, what's up, buddy? Lurking from work. Happy you're here. Sound the siren reposted. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it as always. Only if you buy a Jankowski a ticket too to China, I will fly him to China myself. I mean, I know I'm just a simulator pilot, but I'll figure it out. I will drop Jankowski off in China, even if I have to stay there. I will get that done. I'll take one for the team. Ni hao. Doing the Lord's work, keeping me entertained at work. I'm glad I could do that for you. Yeah, if you want to get one of those TW hats, the link's in the description. Sound the Siren says, cannot hang now, but we'll watch later. Have a great show, brother. I appreciate it, man. Thank you guys for everything. Geez, I didn't realize the power play was scorched earth this month. If I was Buffalo, I'd stay out of the box. Yeah, both teams would essentially benefit from staying out of the box today. Yo, first time live stream viewer, big time Twitter follower. Nice to see you, Micah. Oh, I think I know which Micah you are too. You just DM'd me about your tickets the other day. If you're the Micah that I think you are, because I'm pretty sure I have like 2 or 3 Micahs that follow me. And just for the record, Micah, I think that that's a cool name. And the only time I didn't think that was a cool name was the Micah in Red Dead Redemption, who was like the most villainy villain I think I've ever seen. Like, he was like a stereotypical Western villain, but at the same time worse. And I was like, this guy sucks. It was actually satisfying to kill him at the end of that game. KH stress, LOL, woo, Jankowski so bad. Yeah. Sabres can fly. Yeah, no, that team can move. That team can move with the puck. It's going to be a lot like when Carolina played against Montreal. Montreal can really move with the puck. And even if you do get it back from them, go to the other end, Matheson, Jakai, and guys like that are going to make you pay for it. And then Lane Hudson also hitting, shots from 194 feet away to get the empty net. They might fly, but we have fly. Yeah, that is true. As long as we have at least 20 minutes of slab ice time, we should hold the neutral zone like we do. Yeah, no, that'll help. Slavin's minutes are going to be pretty heavy tonight, and he's going to be matched up against the Sabres top 6 in particular. He's going to be playing against those guys a lot. He's going to be a very busy man today. I was at that Montreal game as well. As somehow made it to the one of the few bad bussy games. Yeah, that's the only game I've made it to so far this year. I might be there on Thursday. Don't quote me on it. I don't know for sure yet. Depends. Buffalo plays like New Jersey did in the 23 playoffs. Yeah, that's true. Need to get on them early, as I'm sure the Canes' legs are still tired from the back-to-back. Yeah, I agree. I thought Buffalo played last night, though. I could be wrong. Smokey says, missed the first 30 minutes, but Canes had a day off. No excuses. Yeah, I think they'll be all right. Manifest RT18. I'm still trying, dude. I'm still trying. There are so many Blues accounts. In the event that does happen, if he becomes a Hurricane, you're going to see about 50 straight. Okay, so you guys remember when the Hurricanes beat the Capitals in the playoffs last year? And like I went scorched earth on like 30 things that I had bookmarked. It's going to be that all over again, except it's going to be Blues accounts where I'm going scorched earth on them. I'm like, you're dead last in the league. Your prospect pool is all right, but it's going to be at least 3 or 4 years before all these guys are good. And, that's not accounting for like Holloway and Snuggerud and guys like that. They're going to be good now, but as far as, or good sooner rather than later, but as far as building out the rest of the team, that's going to take a little while. And, it's like by the time you're good again, Robert Thomas is going to have 2-3 years left on his contract. You might as well move him now and accelerate the rebuild if he wants to, waive his no trade clause. So there's all that. But if that does happen, there's going to be a lot of Blues accounts that really hate me, but they brought it on themselves. Don't mess with the bull. You won't get the horns. Will Park says, I've noticed Ehlers sneaks onto the ice with multiple lines in both power play units. He really is a Swiss Army knife. Yes, he is a Danish Swiss Army knife. Now, that guy does a little bit of everything. Someone else in here wrote it one time. I don't remember who it was, but it was a perfect description of it. Ehlers is what Rod wanted Natchez to be. And, I can't talk about it, but I heard some things about Natchez in the not too recent or not too distant past. And I'm glad he moved on. Like, it's nothing negative against him. It's just he wasn't a good fit in Carolina. Like, we already knew that, but there was a little bit more to it that I found out about. I won't go into details about it. It may come out in due time, but as of right now, damn, 32 notifications. Jesus. All righty. Well, that's about all I have for this one, guys. We didn't have a whole lot of information in here, just because of afternoon games. It's a lot of times it's a little bit harder to see the lines. There's no morning skate. There's projected lineups and stuff, but a lot of times those are from the previous game, and then Carolina's got Carrier coming back in, so like that's going to shake the lines up and everything like that. Yes, Smokey, AB's unbanned. I didn't mean to ban him. I just meant to put him in timeout. Yeah, Natchez is a great fit with the Avs. Yeah, like he's in an environment that suits his skill set now. The environment of Carolina, the religiosity of the defensive structure did not fit him. And I know that like I'm just a beer leaguer and all, but like I personally like having guys on my team who can score because I know I'm not going to do it. I love having someone who, will take a couple of early steps and they get like all the way up at the offensive blue line and I can just hit them with a stretch pass. And, I love having those dynamic offensive players playing with me. I imagine NHL guys like having dynamic offensive players with them, especially if they don't score much, because it's frustrating to sit there on the bench and helplessly watch while they don't score, I would imagine. So that's just me, though. Skylark says, the thing that shocked me the most with Ehlers is how good he is defensively. Jets fans had me convinced he was a black hole on D. Well, I argued with them about that in advance. It was like I knew Ehlers was coming to Carolina years ago. Like I say that quite literally. Like, they tried to trade for him once. Winnipeg tried to trade Ehlers once. They tried to trade him to Carolina for an unnamed right-handed defenseman. That was Pesce. Let's be real, because this is back in 18-19, but they didn't want to give Pesce up. I kind of wish Carolina had made that trade. I really do. Because Ehlers, I'm not saying he would have been the big difference maker, but like you would have had a much more lethal forward group all at the same time, because you're talking about a time frame where, and this could happen again, actually, you're talking about a time frame where your top six would have been Aho, Svechnikov, Jarvis, Trocheck. Let's see. I'm trying to think, how would I do the lines with all that? Hold up, let me write something down here. I want to experiment with something real quick. Okay, so you'd want Trocheck in there at 2C. You could do Trocheck, Jarvis. I'm looking back at the old lines here. Ehlers. We'll do Aho, Ehlers, Svechnikov, Trocheck, Jarvis. Who would I put on left wing back then? Either way, that's a solid top six. Oh, I mean, you would have had Natchez back then. You could put him, or you could do Natchez on that. That would have been cool. Having Ehlers and Natchez on the team at the same time, and maybe Ehlers could have helped Natchez refine the defensive side of his game. Yeah, that would have been cool, actually, for a top six back then. I don't know if it would have won a cup, but it would have been fun to watch. Yeah, some combination of Ehlers, Aho, and Svech, Natchez, Trocheck, and Jarvis. That would have been cool. That would have been really cool. Natchez is perfect with the Avs, and Burns decided he wanted to play again, although I haven't heard much about him lately. That's probably a good thing. If you don't hear much about Burns, that means he's probably playing well. Like, because he's at that point in his career where he's not the dynamic, offensively minded two-way defenseman who creates a ton of rush chances by, using the smooth skating and the frame to get through the neutral zone and, putting pucks on that. He had turned his game into more of a shutdown style game. And if you're not hearing much about him, that means he's probably doing well. Like, shutdown defensemen, you typically don't hear about them unless they're playing badly. There's exceptions to that. Like, there's the guys that are considered incredibly exceptional, like Jacob Slavin, Essa Lindell, Gustav Forsling, etc. You hear about them frequently because of how impactful they are for their team. But like someone like Zach Whitecloud, who was recently traded for Rasmus Anderson, that guy's the definition of steady defensive game. And if you don't hear about a guy that plays that role, Nate Schmidt's another good example. If you don't hear about a guy who plays that role, they just kind of, that means they're doing their job correctly. They're not getting burned. Burns is doing really well. Had 2 goals a few games ago. Great on the penalty kill. Oh, okay. Well, good for him. I'm happy for him. I mean, I understand why Carolina moved on from him. and I was an advocate of Carolina moving on from him. But I'm glad he's doing well. But he's also in a better environment because he's not having to play top pair minutes. I'm in the past watching from the start or whatever. Why do these get us on a Sunday and Monday matinee? I hate matinee games. I agree. I don't like them myself. I considered coming up there for that one, but like I want to see, the thing is, I basically want going to a game to be the last thing I do during a day. So that's why it's like, do whatever during the day, go to the game, go to Taco Bell with AB normally, or order a pizza with AB, sit there and hang out with him, his cousin Pace. And like, we just have a really good time whenever I come up there. You know, we go home and just chill out and eat and BS and, you know, talk about cars, guns, girls, whatever we want to bullshit about because, you know, we're men. And, you know, it's like, I want that to be the last thing I do of the day. It's like I go to a game at 1:00 and then I'm like, okay, well, now what? And I don't particularly like that. That's just never been my thing. Like when I come up there, like I thought about coming up there at some point in the near future, but I don't want the last game I go to be a matinee game like during that trip. But I'll be back up there again at some point or another. I've seen Burns do shit with the Avs that he wouldn't do with us. He's been more physical, almost like he's emptying the tank for a cup this year. He's got a damn good shot at it where he's at. The schedule this year has been some BS. Yeah, I agree. Carolina has one of the worst schedules in the league. It's already like that as it is. Luckily, the team's good enough now to where like the State Fair road trip's a blessing in disguise, and where it's a blessing in disguise because they can actually, you know, farm some points and get a bunch of their road games out of the way. Burns with Josh Manson, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. I mean, if Burns could have had a circumstance like that here, it would have been one thing. You know, Griff like wanted Burns to come back so bad. He's like, just put Gostisbehere and Burns on the same pair. And I'm like, that'll never work. They'll get burned. But then now I look at how good like Gostisbehere is playing defensively. Between him and Burns, I think they would have defended just fine with favorable matchups. I'm like, maybe that wasn't the worst idea. However, you know, Carolina wouldn't have Key, and I really like Key, so I'm not too upset about how things turned out. And like I said, I wish him all the best. I love Taco Bell. There isn't one within 30 miles of me. I love it too, but I refuse to have it. I absolutely refuse to have it. I've gotten to where I don't eat stuff like that anymore. It's the only fast food I've had relatively recently, and it was because I had just gotten off the ice and I was starving, and I drank a protein shake, and it wasn't enough to calm my stomach down, and I had class right after the fact. I actually went to Chick-fil-A, and I will never forgive those bastards for getting rid of my favorite breakfast item on the menu, which was the bagel sandwich. I'm still pissed about that. You know, I was telling my friend Jeremy, him and I were talking last night. I was telling him about, there was this thing in Springfield, Virginia. There's this place called El Paso. It's a Mexican restaurant. And they had this one thing there. And it was like me if it was food. Because as you guys know, I'm half Mexican. Nobody believes me when I say that, but I am. And there was this one entree there. It was called the tortilla burger. It was a burger inside of a burrito with guacamole and shredded like cheddar and pepper jack or cheddar jack cheese. And I was just like, it was amazing. And I went there one day and they didn't have it anymore. I was really mad, but that was my favorite thing. It really was. But no, today I was planning on making burgers anyway, but I would have called an audible and made burgers now, even if I didn't see what I saw with the Aho thing. Carolina cannot lose this game today. This is Aho Burger Day. They cannot lose today. You cannot have a loss on Aho Burger Day, and that's what this is. 42 games too short. I was thinking more like 70, like just something so where the schedule's not so condensed. And, you know, another idea I had, in years where you have the Olympics and years where you have the World Cup of Hockey, which is now coming back, do like a 72-game season then, and then you can have an 84-game regular season when you don't have that giant break in the middle requiring everything to be so compartmentalized. I would have done something like that. That's just me, though. Well, on that note, I'm going to go fire up the Traeger. No, Smokey. No, today's different. You don't understand the power of Aho and burgers. That's an unstoppable force. Nah. Canes are going to be fine. However, I am going to go fire up the Traeger. And I'm going to make myself a couple of burgers. I've got some shoestring fries and I'm going to put in the air fryer. I will be doing 4 patties because this is my last meal until 7 o'clock tomorrow night. And I've got ice time in the morning. And I'm going to the gym after damage report. I will be doing 2 patties on each brioche bun, cheddar and pepper jack, or cheddar on one, pepper jack on another. I will have pepperoncinis, Kinder's burger sauce, dill pickle chips, and I will have chili for my fries, along with some Taco Bell chipotle sauce, and that's what I'm going to make for a chili fry mix. J-Dub, unfortunately, I don't have time to cook any more bacon. There were two strips of it left in the fridge this morning, and I ate them cold, and I gave the rest to my big dog just so I could calm my stomach down before the show, because I could not concentrate worth a damn. That's part of the reason why some of the stuff I had to correct when I started doing the show was because I was really hungry while I was trying to do it, and I was having a hard time concentrating. But I got a little snack in me, but then I'll eat now, and then it'll be my last meal until 7 o'clock tomorrow night. What's really going to suck is right before the playoffs, before I come to a playoff game, I want to do a 3-day fast. But yeah, no, if I had time to cook more bacon, I would cook more bacon, but I'm already going to have the burgers and the fries and everything else going and everything like that. I am going to do bacon and blueberry muffins at some point in the near future, though. Like, because Desiree makes really, really good blueberry muffins. Like, everything she makes is good. She's an amazing cook. I mean, she's an amazing woman overall, but like, she makes like really, she's an excellent cook. And, you know, it's just I'm cooking for myself today because she's out of town, but it's like she's really good at it. But burger with candy bacon smothered in queso, that's good. That's real. I've had one like that before. That's really good. Oh, there's one place here, I forget what it's called. They had a peanut butter and jelly burger. I'm like, this might be a disaster, but I have to try. God, I can't keep talking about this shit. Anyway, I'll end it on this note. They had a peanut butter and jelly burger, and I was like, that's either going to be really disgusting or really good. And it was actually really good. And I think about it, it's like times where I've had like I had jalapeno jam on a steak one time at Hell's Kitchen in Virginia Beach, and it was amazing. It was really good. I went there on a date way back in the day, and I had that, and like I kind of forgot that there was a girl sitting across the table from me. It was so good. Barley and burger. Okay, I might check that out next time I'm there, because next trip I make to Raleigh, I want to hopefully be there for a few days and go to 2 or 3 games or something like that. If we win, I will get a burger. If we lose, and I'm going to say Brandon to Mexico and get Mexican food. I love Mexican food too. Like we make Doritos Locos Tacos at home now. So that's okay. I got to stop. I'm hungry. I can't do this anymore. All right, guys. Thank you very much for all your support, but I need to go eat. I'm starving. I will be on X during the game, all that good stuff. I have to eat though. I will see y'all later. Remember, pull, focus, believe, Jankowski to China.